Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the grimy shoes of a time traveler stranded in 14th century London. Picture this. You're clutching a moldy bread loaf as sunset stains the Thames crimson, unaware that in 17 minutes, the city's gates will slam shut like a bear trap. That cheerful clang you hear? That's London Bridge sealing your fate. Suddenly, the baker who sold you that fresh rye vanishes, leaving you alone in a twilight swarm of pickpockets and night walkers, medieval slang for criminals who treat darkness like their personal hunting ground. You probably wouldn't survive this, because let's be honest, your phone flashlight won't cut it against professional throat slitters. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Wherever you're listening from, maybe Toronto at 11 p.m. or Sydney at dawn. Tap your location and local time in the comments. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your first mistake? Assuming curfew bells were polite suggestions. When vespers echo through crooked lanes, shop shutters rattle down like guillotines. Historians still argue whether the 9 p.m. lockdown saved lives or just concentrated crime. Think of it as Uber surge pricing for muggers. You're now trapped in a walled island with 80 souls, half of whom would happily steal your shoes. A mainstream fact? The city had exactly one guard per 20 residents. Your odds? Worse than finding vegan options at a tavern. Now feel that creeping damp? That's the Fleet River's greeting kiss. An open sewer bubbling with slaughterhouse guts and human waste. You sidestep a puddle, not realizing it's a prayer trap. Here's your quirky tidbit. Thieves use sewage pools as distraction zones. While you gag at the smell, a cut purse's hooked pole snags your coin pouch. Clever, right? They dip stolen purses in vinegar to disinfect them. Medieval entrepreneurship at its finest. As you scramble toward faint candlelight, your modern sneakers slip on greasy cobblestones. That squelch beneath your sole? Rotting fish heads? Up ahead, a silhouetted figure beckons, but it's no savior. Meet the hooker. Yes, that's the real etymology. Armed with a rod to yank victims into alleys, you duck behind a rainwater barrel, heart drumming like a bard's tabla. Funny how your biggest worry 3 hours ago was spilling coffee on your keyboard. Now, survival hinges on counting shadows. 10, 11, 12 nightwalkers materialize, their knives catching moonlight like silver fangs. Breathe. That faint rosemary scent? Just a butcher's attempt to mask bloodstains. Lean into the barrel's rough wood. Imagine it's your office chair. Better? Good. Because tomorrow's section involves dodging deadlier pitfalls. Like ale that could blind you. But for now, let the distant drip, drip of gutter water sink with your pulse. Slower, slower. That barrel's rough grooves dig into your back as 12 shadows advance. Your modern lungs burn from air thick with rotting tripe and wood smoke, a cocktail historians call the London miasma. You bolt toward the gurgling Fleet ditch, unaware it's the city's septic artery. Your left boot plunges knee-deep into sludge warmer than bath water. Congratulations. You found the communal toilet where butchers dump bloody offal and households empty chamber pots since sunrise. That floating lump brushing your thigh could be a dead cat or yesterday's breakfast. Mainstream fact. The fleet carried 50 tons of excrement daily. Your quirky survival tip? Locals coated nostrils with rancid butter to block smells. Medieval Vicks Vapo Rub. A lantern sways ahead. Salvation? Think again. Meet the gong farmer scraping night soil into his cart. Historians still argue whether these sewage miners died before 30 from methane poisoning or sheer shame. He gestures at your submerged leg with a shit-cake shovel. Lost a traveler last Tuesday, sucked under by the shit vortex. His chuckle reveals 3 teeth as you wrestle your boot from the muck with a wet thloop. Suddenly, splash. A cascade of lukewarm piss drenches your shoulder from an overhead window. Gardaloo, shrieks a voice, the original, watch out below. You're now marinated in a stranger's urine. Cheeky modern parallel? It's like getting drive-through coffee dumped on you. If the coffee were bodily waste, the reek clings like cheap cologne as you stumble toward Pissing Lane. Yes, an actual street where the clueless relieve themselves. Watch for the floating islands. Those aren't lily pads. They're burrow blankets. Conglomerates of grease, hair, and fecal matter thick enough to support rats. See that bioluminescent shimmer? Rotting fish scales, mixing with human waste. Poetic, right? You're standing in a cocktail that'll later inspire cholera outbreaks. A shape brushes your calf. Not a rat, worse. It's a sign-eater's eel, trained to nibble corpses before burial. Your foot dislodges a toddler's leather shoe from the sludge. Morbide souvenir. Breathe through your mouth. Taste that metallic tang. That's blood from Smithfield's slaughterhouses upstream. Funny how your Spotify relaxing rain playlist never included this ambient sound. Up ahead, lanterns flicker at a tavern. Safety? The gong farmer's warning echoes. The ale there rots eyes faster than conscience. But thirst overrides logic as you squelch toward false hope. Remember tonight's scholarly debate. Did Londoners develop immunity to sewage pathogens, or just stop noticing? The tavern's crooked sign creaks above you like a hanging man's rope. The drunken duck promises warmth but reeks of deceit. Your urine-soaked sleeve has stiffened into a foul parchment, and Fleet Ditch's sewage cocktail simmers between your toes. That flickering candlelight through horn windows? Not hospitality. It's the glow of a trap. You reach for the iron door ring, fingers trembling. Thwack. A wooden pole slams into the wall beside your ear, sprouting splinters like venomous hairs. Meet your new friends. Hookers. Not the modern kind. These are thieves wielding 8-foot poles tipped with meat hooks, designed to snatch purses or collarbones. Mainstream fact. London's 14th century crime wave birthed specialized tools. This one's called a snaffance. No relation to the gun. Perfect for yanking victims into shadows. Evening, sweeting, hisses a voice. 2 figures emerge. One with a pox-ravaged nose, the other missing an eye. Their hooks glint like crooked fingers. Fancy a dance? Missing Eye chuckles, swinging his pole in a lazy arc. Whoosh, whoosh. You duck as it tears through where your head just was. Cheeky, modern parallel. It's like Uber Eats delivering death instead of dumplings. Now the screaming starts. Not yours. Yet. Somewhere down Pissing Lane, a merchant shrieks as thieves peel his cloak off. You spot 2 watchmen in striped tunics leaning against St. Mary LeBeau, playing dice. Help! You bellow. The taller guard glances up, yawns, and extends his palm. Bribery. 101. No silver, no service. Historians still argue whether corruption was systemic or just Tuesday night tradition. Poxnose lunges. His hook snags your piss-crusted sleeve. A-R-R-I. IAP. There goes your last thread of dignity. Ooh, tough fabric, he mocks. Cost more than your life, did it? Here's your quirky tidbit. Medieval thieves graded victims by fabric. Wool may, linen, decent, silk, jackpot. Your hemp shirt? Bottom tier. They'd call you walking thimble, slang for poor target. You dive between ale barrels as hooks, clang, against oak. The tavern door swings open, spilling sour ale stench and raucous laughter. A barmaid dumps fish guts onto the street. Not out here, loves, she scolds the hookers. Blood's hell to scrub off cobbles. Business etiquette, even among cutthroats. Clop, clop, clop. Hooves. A knight's destrier materializes through fog. But hope curdles when you see its cargo. Chained prisoners bound for Newgate. Their hollow eyes meet yours. One mouths. Run. Suddenly. Splat. Rotten cabbage explodes against Pox-Nose's face. A urchin grins from a rooftop. Piss off, Snaggletooth! Missile-assisted altruism. You seize the chaos, scrambling toward a tannery's reeking doorway. Bad choice. The vats of dog poo leather dye bubble like toxic stew. Your eyes water. Throat seals shut. Lost him? Growls missing eye. But wait. That tinkling sound? Not fairy bells. It's St. Mary's curfew bell. Final round. When it stops, anyone outdoors becomes legal prey. Your scholarly debate kicks in. Did curfew reduce crime, or just rebrand murder as law enforcement? Breathe. Smell that? Beneath the shit and fear. Baking bread. Dawn's hours away, but night bakers already feed ovens. False comfort. Their chimney smoke carries carbon monoxide. Silent killer of lodgers above shops. Irony's a bitch. Survive hookers only to suffocate by breakfast. As the bell's last note fades, you spot salvation. A recessed doorway with a Madonna statue. Saints offer sanctuary, right? Wrong. Her stone eyes are gouged out. Thieves stash loot in her hollow head. Reach inside and you'll grab, well, let's just hope it's coins and not a dead rat. The hooker's footsteps approach. Squelch, squelch, squelch. Time to choose. Tannery toxins, thieves' hooks, or toxic sanctuary. Funny how your biggest office dilemma was printer jams. The Madonna's hollow eye sockets stare back as your fingers brush cold stone inside her niche. See. Clink. Not a rat, coins. Silver pennies slick with grime. Salvation? Hardly. Pox-Nose's wheeze echoes closer. Smell that? Fear and piss. You pocket 2 coins just as a meat hook scrapes the archway above you. Time to move. That tavern door swings open again. A rectangle of smoky amber light. You dive through it, slamming oak against pursuing hooks. Thud. Inside, the drunken duck swallows you whole. Thick air stews of sour ale, unwashed bodies, and roast something. A bard's off-key lute competes with drunken shanties. Mainstream fact. London taverns doubled as informal courts, where disputes got settled with knives. Your modern, quiet pub drink? Not tonight. You approach the serving hatch. Penny pint, you gasp, sliding a coin. The barmaid's eyes narrow at your silver. That's for good ale, she sneers, pushing a cracked mug filled with murky liquid. You get swipes. Swipes, the infamous tavern dregs. Yesterday's ale slop. Today's backwash. Tomorrow's regret. Historians still argue whether it contained actual psychoactive herbs or just pure filth. As you sip, a giant hand slams your back. That's my stool, whelp. Meet Hack. 6 feet of scarred muscles smelling of tallow and violence. His beard holds yesterday's dinner. You stand. Too slow. His tankard whooshes past your ear. I said move. Cheeky modern parallel. It's like someone stealing your bar stool. If the bar stool came with homicidal intent, crash. Hack's fist sends you sprawling over a table. Cards fly. God's teeth. My winning hand, screams a gambler. Suddenly, 3 knives flash. Not at you yet. This is tavern tennis. Patrons betting on knife. Throws at ceiling rafters. Thunk, thunk. Blades quiver beside a dangling ham. Your quirky tidbit. Losers had to remove knives bare-handed. Hence, stump fingers. McGee over there. New game, Hack roars, pointing at you. Moving target. Whoosh. A blade embeds in the table between your thighs. Laughter erupts. You scramble backward into a cloaked figure. Sorry. The hood falls, revealing milky eyes. You serve the devil's drink? He hisses. Meet the wine-blind victim. The barmaid slams another mug down. Special wine from France. Only tuppence. Her wink is pure poison. Counterfeit wine. The real terror. Unscrupulous vintners added lead for sweetness and quicklime for clarity. One sip could mean blindness or paralysis. Scholarly debate. Did authorities ignore it because nobles drank imported? Or was everyone just drunk? Hack advances, drawing a bullock dagger, named for its suggestive shape. Let's see your guts, boy. The crowd forms a circle, chanting, no watchmen here. Tavern law rules. Your eyes dart to the back door, blocked by a mastiff gnawing a bone. The fireplace? Flames lick at green logs, spitting toxic U-smoke. Suddenly, inspiration. You hurl your swipe's ale into Hack's face. Blinded me, he bellows, clutching his eyes. Temporarily. You vault the bar, landing beside wine barrels. The barmaid swings a cudgel. Crack. It misses your head, smashing a cask. Blood-red wine floods the floor. My profits, she wails. In the chaos, you spot salvation. A dog wheel turning meat over the fire. Small enough to crawl through, you dive into the soot-choked tunnel as Hack's dagger twacks into the wood behind you. Emerging into an alley, you gasp night air, laced with the tannery's vomit-inducing reek. Choices. Sewage river, knife, happy tavern, or rent, fabric tears. A hook? No, feral pigs. Razor-tusked porkers devour a butcher's offal pile. One eyes your legs. Medieval London's true cleanup crew. Run. Your lungs scream as you skid around the butcher's stall. Razor-tusked pigs snapping at your heels. One nips your cloak hem. RRI. Freeing you to vault over a pile of rancid sheepskins. Ahead, a flickering sign. Ye lepers rest. Desperation overrules logic. You slam the warped door shut just as porcine snouts smash against oak. Thud, thud, thud. The pig's furious squeals fade as you lean against the door, heart hammering against ribs like a blacksmith's mallet. Coin first, rasps a voice. The lodging's keeper extends a palm glistening with sores. 2 pennies vanish into his tunic. Top loft. Mind the flea circus. Mainstream fact. London lodgings pack 20 strangers per room on straw pallets crawling with parasites. Your bedmate etiquette lesson starts now. Up creaking stairs. The air thickens into a soup of unwashed feet. Sour ale breath and wet dog. A single tallow candle reveals silhouettes. A snoring drover, a sailor hugging a jug, a woman coughing into rags. Historians still argue whether shared beds spread plague faster or built immunity. You claim the last open space beside a chimney breast still radiating dying heat. The straw crackles beneath you. Not fresh hay. Decades of compressed sweat and skin flakes. Shift over, dreamer. Grunts your bedmate. A fishmonger reeking of low tide. His elbow jabs your ribs. 3 others already share this 6-foot space. Cheeky modern parallel. It's like economy airline seating. If the seat was alive with insects, you feel the first bites. Tiny, relentless. Fleas. London's true royalty. Your quirky tidbit. Some lodging staged flea circuses at dawn. Impresarios betting on which parasite jumped highest. The fishmonger's snores vibrate your skull. Hunksh. Across the loft, the coughing woman gags. Phlegm bucket's full, someone yells. No one moves. You pull your cloak over your face, but the wool reeks of Fleet Ditch's embrace. Outside, a scream pierces the night, cut abruptly short. The watchman's distant dice game continues. Clatter, clatter. A cold nose prods your hand. Not a rat. A lurcher dog scavenging crumbs. You shove it away. It growls, baring teeth yellow as old parchment. Touch Bitey again. I'll gutcha. Slurs a shadow. Bedmate number 4. The dog's owner. Fingers twitching toward his knife. Scholarly debate rages. Were medieval dogs more loyal companions or mobile disease vectors? Bitey's weeping eyes suggest both. The heat from the chimney fades. Cold seeps through cracks in the daub and wattle walls. The fishmonger rolls, stealing your cloak corner. You shiver. Hypothermia or plague? London's favorite game. Suddenly, scray. Claws on the thatched roof above. Barn cats hunting pigeons, mumbles the sailor. But the sound is too heavy, too deliberate. Thump. Dust showers from the rafters. Something large just landed on the roof. Scritch scratch. Scritch scratch. Moving toward the smoke hole. You freeze. Legends whisper of thatched thieves. Burglars cutting through roofs while tenants slept. The scratching stops. Silence. Then, a single fat drop of warm liquid lands on your forehead. Plink. You touch it. Sticky. Dark in the gloom. Blood? The lurcher whines, tail tucked. Above the smoke hole, 2 pinpricks of reflected candlelight appear. Eyes. Glowing. Not human. Not cat. Scritch, scratch, snap. A rotting roof tile clatters onto the hearthstones. A clawed hand, blackened, too long, reaches down through the gap, groping blindly toward the chimney hook where sausages hung yesterday. Demon! Shrieks the coughing woman. Panic explodes. The drover bolts for the stairs, trampling the sailor. The fishmonger flails, punching your jaw, CRA. Stars burst behind your eyes. Bitey the dog howls. Above, the clawed hand withdraws. Heavy footsteps retreat across the roof. Thud. 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 Silence returns, broken only by whimpering and your own ragged breath. The blood on your brow feels like a brand. Just a mangy bear, grunts the knife man, but his trembling hand belies the bravado. Dawn is hours away. The straw prickles like 1,000 needles. Fleas feast. Bitey licks your bleeding knuckles. Somewhere below, the pigs resume their grunting vigil outside the door. Inside, the coughing worsens. Wet, tearing spasms. The fishmonger's hand brushes yours. Ice cold. Plague, cold. You recoil. The last candle gutters out. Absolute darkness swallows the loft. No stars, no moon, just the symphony of suffering. Snores, coughs, scratching rats, and the relentless drip, 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 drip from the roof hole onto cold ashes. Your eyelids grow heavy despite the terror. Exhaustion is the true conqueror. The dog's warmth against your leg becomes a strange comfort. The fishmonger's deathly chill spreads through the shared straw. Or is that just the creeping damp of London's endless winter? Dawn bleeds through the thatch like thin broth gray, greasy, offering no warmth. The coughing woman lies still now, too still. Bitey's owner mutters a prayer as he pries a copper coin from her stiffened fingers. Dead before Maton's bell, he grunts. Lucky we're not locked in for plague inspection. You scramble downstairs, leaving the reek of death and dog breath behind. Outside, the pigs are gone. So is your left shoe, swallowed by the sewage ditch during last night's escape. You limp barefoot over frozen cobbles, Fleet ditches effluent, crusted like black lace, up your leggings. False dawn perils, alms for the blind, croaks a beggar at pissing corner. Your corner, apparently. His milky eyes track you unnervingly. Spare a penny? Or I'll sing the pox song outside your shop. You recoil. Mainstream fact. Organized beggar guilds controlled prime soliciting spots. Refuse, and they'd smear your door with leprous sores. Cheeky modern parallel? It's like Yelp extortion, with biohazards. A bell clangs, not salvation. St. Mary Le Beau's fish bell means the Thames wharves are open. You follow the crowd toward river stink, passing butchers hosing down stalls with blood runoff. Splatter, splatter. Your bare foot slips on a sheep's spleen. Watch it, dreamer, snarls an apprentice, heaving ox bones into the gutter. Historians still argue whether medieval streets were deliberately filthy to ward off invaders, or if everyone was just too drunk to care. The gutter guide scam. Lost master? A boy tugs your sleeve, gap-toothed and grinning. Tuppence, to guide ye. Desperation nods. He leads you down lanes narrower than your shoulders, walls glistening with morning frost and other moisture. Drip, drip. This here's Grope Cunt Lane, he announces proudly. Lively at night, your quirky tidbit. Street names weren't subtle. Turn onto Shitburner's Alley or Mountebank's Path, and you knew exactly what to expect. Crunch, your heel lands on something brittle. Human rib? Before you look, the boy darts ahead. Hurry, tide's turning. You round the corner straight into a dead end stacked with rancid tanning vats. The boy vanishes. 4 figures unfold from shadows, knives glinting. Payment for the tour. Leers their leader, flicking a blade. Coin or kidney, your choice. Curfew's twilight zone. The sun climbs, yet danger deepens. Curfews end at dawn, created a legal loophole. Crimes committed between Matins bell, 5 a.m., and full daylight were unprosecutable. Gangs exploited this gray hour ruthlessly. Your attackers advance. No watchmen patrol here too busy collecting bribes near markets. Scholarly debate. Was this law a clerical error or deliberate social control? You grab a rotting barrel stave. Back off. The thugs laugh. Or what? You'll whack us with kindling? Suddenly, splosh. A chamber pot empties from a window above, drenching the leader. Gardyloo, filth! Shrieks a woman. The gang sputters in human waste. You sprint past, gagging. Irony. Saved by someone else's piss. Thames side traps. River air hits you salt, dead fish, and hope. Wrong again. The wharf swarms with eel boys dredging sewage for lost valuables. One waves a skeletal hand. Freshen. Still got rings. Further out. Bodies bob face down floaters. Suicides denied church burial. A priest mumbles last rites from shore, charging relatives 6 pence per soul. Ferry master. A boatman beckons. Penny to Southwark. Sanctuary? His smile reveals filed teeth. Pirates often posed as ferrymen, dumping passengers mid-river. You hesitate. Behind you, the pissed-off gang emerges, wiping excrement from their eyes. Ahead, the boatman's hand drifts toward an axe under his seat. St. Paul's Sanctuary. You bolt left towards St. Paul's Spire. Churches offered 40 days protection to criminals. You crash through its gates gasping. Sanctuary. The priest eyes your filth-caked clothes. The leper's alcove. Downstairs. Not hallowed ground, a crypt where the sick huddled between coffins. A man with a face like melted wax offers you holy mold, bread scavenged from graves. Eat, it's blessed, he rasps. Outside, the gang paces like wolves. Inside, the air sweats decay. Your stomach growls. That holy mold looks suspiciously green. Do you risk poison or starvation? Suddenly, the clang, clang, clang of curfew bells echoes. Vespers, the gang scatters. You've survived the day, but night's gates are slamming shut again. The priest bars the crypt door. No one leaves till dawn. Pray the plague doesn't rise from these stones first. Around you, lepers chant. The tombs seem to breathe. That scratching sound beneath the flagstones, rats. Or something hungrier. Funny how your commute traffic woes now seem luxurious. The crypt door's iron latch falls with finality. Clank. Lepers' whispers weave through tomb-cold air like spider silk. The stones bleed at vespers. Rasps your neighbor, his hood shadowing a noseless face. You press against a sarcophagus, its carved night staring eternally upward. Drip, drip. Water seeps from the vaulted ceiling, pooling between flagstones where nameless bones moldered centuries before plague made dying fashionable. Sacred swindle, a priest shambles down moss-slick steps, swinging a censer reeking of cheap incense-burnt juniper masking decay. Alms for St. Fiacre's thumb? He extends a reliquary, a knucklebone, floating in murky oil. Mainstream fact. Churches sold fake relics to terrified pilgrims. London's St. Paul's stocked Virgin Mary's milk. Goat's chalk paste. You shake your head. His smile curdles. No coin for salvation? Then try St. Fiacre's mercy. He sloshes a wooden cup toward you. The liquid gleams oily green. Quirky tidbit. Unscrupulous monks brewed holy tonics with henbane to induce visions, then demanded donations for exorcisms. Bone market barter. A woman tugs your sleeve. Tuppence for a martyr's tooth. Guards against gangrene. Her basket overflows with dried bats, grave soil sachets, and suspiciously small finger bones. Historians still debate. Did these crypt wives believe their cuirassor prey on despair? Outside, the barred door rattles your pursuers, testing its strength. Thud, thud. Drink, insists the priest, thrusting the cup closer. The tonic's cloying sweetness carries undertones of mandrake root? You feign a sip, letting it trickle into your beard. His eyes narrow. Swallow or face? Eternal damnation. Suddenly, crack. Flagstones shift beneath your feet. The noseless leper yanks you back as a section of floor collapses. exhaling a gust of putrid air. Below, a forgotten plague pit, skulls grinning in candlelight. God's teeth, breathes the priest, crossing himself. Seal it. Grave robber's gambit, but the leper drops a rope ladder into the pit. Quickly, the bishop hides stolen chalices here. Desperation overrides sanity. You descend into bone-dust darkness. Above, the priest argues with bone sellers, their voices muffled. Your foot lands on something soft, a half-rotted shroud. Skulls roll like grotesque marbles. Then you see it, a chest glinting in the leper's lifted candle. Not chalices, rotated bodies in silk shrouds. Resurrection men pay well for fresh ones. He whispers, "Help me haul this merchant up." Slam! The trapdoor slams shut above you. Darkness. Absolute. Your cut buys my silence, hisses the leper. Trapped in a plague pit with a body snatcher. Sewer salvation. Groping blindly. Your hand finds a rusted iron ring set in the wall. Pull. A hidden door grinds open, revealing a river tunnel stinking of brine and sewage. The fleet's subterranean artery. Freedom smells like excrement. You wade into icy sludge, corpses forgotten. Waist deep, neck deep. Don't think about the leeches. A distant circle of moonlight beckons. Splash, gasp. You emerge beside London Bridge's starlings, the stone piers, where traders' heads greet dawn on spikes. Thames, helpers. Looky, a shit ghost crawled from the fleet. Two fishermen gutting eels point knives at you, their boat bobs nearby. Need passage, bog sprite? Suspicion wars with hypothermia. Scholarly debate. Thames fishermen often saved drowning men, then robbed their corpses. Their net holds thrashing eel sand, a man's bloated hand. You retreat toward the bridge. Mist coils like phantom serpents. Halfway across, a chapel doorway glows. Real sanctuary? You stagger inside, collapsing before the altar. Sanctuary seeker? A tonsured monk eyes your filth. Kneel properly. As you obey, his sandaled foot pins your hand. Your purse. 4. Penance. Church extortion. Act 2. Outside. Boots echo on the bridge. Your gang has tracked you. The monk smirks. Or I cry thief. Now, London's final test. Dawn pinks the eastern sky. Fishmongers' cries echo. The city stirs a beast rousing. You have 3 choices. 1. Leap into the Thames. Current. 8 knots. Survival odds. 3%. 2. Surrender to the gang. Knife in kidney odds. 97%. 3. Charge past the monk into Billingsgate's market chaos. His heel grinds your knuckles. Choose. The gang leader fills the chapel arch, sewage streaking his jerkin. He flicks a bollock dagger. Got you, dreamer. Your muscles coil. The monk's robe smells of mildew and greed. Somewhere, a baker shovels loaves from an oven. The scent of real bread, warm, yeasty, human, drifts through the door. It's the only pure thing in this city. You choose. Your muscles ignite. You surge upward, throwing the monk backward into a stand of votive candles. Flaming wax sprays across his robe, igniting incense and wool in a sudden bloom of fire. Heretic, he shrieks, as flames consume his hem. The gang leader lunges, dagger aimed at your kidney. You pivot, snatching a heavy brass processional cross. Metal crashes against bone. His wrist gives way with a sickening snap. The dagger clatters to stone. Kill him, he howls, cradling his ruined arm. You bolt past the burning monk, Through the chapel archway, into blinding chaos. Billingsgate's belly. Sunlight stings your eyes. The fish market assaults your senses. The stench rolls over you, a suffocating tide of rotting mackerel, stale urine, and slaughterhouse blood. The noise is a wall. Hundreds of voices haggling, gulls screaming like damned souls, cleavers splitting spines. The slipperiness beneath your bare feet comes from layers of fish guts and entrails polished smooth by countless boots. Mainstream fact: Billingsgate moved 2,000 tons of seafood weekly. Your soles slide on greasy cod livers. Behind you, the gang shoves through the crowd, for enraged faces closing in. Fishwives, fury, out the way, dreamer. A woman barrels past, balancing a barrel of oysters on her head. Her forearms are corded muscle. Quirky tidbit: fishwives were London's most feared traders, known to break noses over underweight crabs. Historians still debate if they had formal guilds or just shared collective rage. You duck beneath a stall hung with dying eels. One slaps wetly against your cheek. The stallkeeper roars, "Thief!" A cleaver bites deep into wood where your hand had been. "Rot, quicklime. Try our whitehest herring," hawks a boy, pointing to fish piled under chalky powder. Not salt quicklime. Used to bleach, rot, and fool the eye. Deadly if eaten. Cheeky parallel. Medieval food complaints ended in convulsions, not online reviews. The gang split swole flanking left, two right. You seize a bucket of fish heads, hurling it. Scales and eyeballs shower them. God's teeth. One man slips, plunging face first into a basket of spoiled squid. The crowd erupts in cruel laughter. A whip cuts the air. The market's fish beetle rides through on a stilt-legged mare, lashing slow movers. Clear the king's path. His horse tramples crab shells into jagged shards. Bahio fed chows. You spot stacked wine barrels near a cart. Shove the cart, it groans forward. Heave against the lowest barrel, it rumbles downhill. The gang scatters as heavy casks barrel toward them. Wood shatters. Crimson wine floods the street like blood. "My vintage," screams a merchant. You're already sprinting down pudding Lenenemed for the awful sausages once made here. The air thickens with the smell of butchered animals in boiling fat. The tallow trap, a cauldron of bubbling tallow, looms ahead, animal fat rendering into candles. Heat blisters your skin from yards away. The gang emerges, dripping wine like bloodied phantoms. "Finish him," the leader points, cradling his shattered wrist. You scramble onto a rickety scaffold above the vat. Planks groan. One pursuer follows, the wood collapses. He falls into the boiling fat. His scream dies abruptly, as molten tallow seals his throat. The others freeze. Chapel of the Dead. You drop into Butcher's Alley. Silence. Only blood dripping from meat hooks overhead. A chapel doorway beckons St. Clement's Dane. Sanctuary? You stagger inside, into a corpse washing. Two crones scrub a naked body on a slab. "Early for your scrub, dearie?" One leers, toothless. The other wrings a sponge dripping pink-tinged water. "Tuppence to scour the plague off ye." The chapel door slams shut. The gang's last two block it, grinning. No miracles here, dreamer. The rear exit? Bricked up during repairs. Scholarly debate. Did churches wall useless doors to dodge maintenance tithes? The washers vanish behind a curtain. Only you, the corpse, and two killers remain. The leader draws a thin rondel dagger made to pierce armor, or hearts. "Remember the fleet?" he sneers, stepping over the dead man. "You owe me a boot." Your back hits cold stone. Left. The corpse slab. Right. A brazier, glowing with coals for heating wash water. The dead man's hand hangs limp fingers, nearly brushing a rusty pike leaning against the wall. Outside, a fishwife cries, "Fresh eels! Still squirming!" Inside, your breath fogs in the sudden chill. The leader lunges. You choose. Your hand closes around the pike's splintered shaft a heartbeat before the leader's dagger finds your heart. You swing blindly not at him, but at the brazier. Coals explode outward in a shower of red-hot embers. He recoils, batting at sparks, igniting his wine-soaked jerkin. His companion stumbles into the corpse slab, sending the body thudding to the floor in a tangle of stiff limbs. The butcher's price? You burst into Butcher's Alley, pike still clutched like a lifeline. The air reeks of congealed blood and fear. Ahead, the tallow vat still bubbling, its surface now crusted over the dead pursuer. Workers poke at the hardening fat with long poles, already discussing salvage rights. "Good tallow on 'em," one remarks casually. Your stomach heaves. Mainstream fact. Nothing was wasted in medieval London execution sites sold fat of hanged men as arthritis cures. Your modern pharmacy run feels quaint, wound, stigma. A burning line flares across your forearm dagger kiss. Blood wells, dark as port wine. Instinct pulls you toward the well at Cheapside. Bad move. Women clustering there recoil. "Plague blood," one shrieks, crossing herself. Quirky tidbit. Open wounds were assumed infected. Sufferers were pelted with stones to drive out demons. A rotten cabbage explodes near your feet. The barber's horror. Desperation drives you into a barber surgeon's den. Flies buzz over blood-crusted bowls. "Lie down," commands the barber, strapping a leather belt around your bicep. His bone saw gleams. Limbs got to go. Historians still debate whether these healers killed more than they saved. You scramble backward as you test the blade's edge. "Just a cut." You protest. He sniffs your wound, tainted by night air, amputation, or death. His breath smells of onions and grave dirt. Leechcraft, lies, wait. An apprentice intervenes, a boy with nervous eyes. Try the Spanish method first. He produces a jar of squirming leeches. Purifies bad blood. You nod frantically. The barber grunts, pocketing your last coin. "Die screaming then." Leeches latch onto your arm like bloated black tears. Their rhythmic pulsing is oddly soothing, until the barber slathers a poultice of moldy bread and pig dung over them. "Draws poison," he declares. The stench makes your eyes water. Scholarly debate. Did medieval cures cause more infections than they prevented? False refuge again. Dizziness hits as you stagger outside. Blood loss? Poison? The world tilts. You collapse against St. Mary Le Beau's wall. Above, the great bell begins tolling none the 9th hour. Shadows lengthen like grasping fingers. Curfew specter rises. A hand shakes your shoulder. Rough night, eh? A red-faced man in a fur-trimmed cloak looms over you. Merchant class. He clicks his tongue at your leech-studded arm. Need proper help. Hope flickers until you spot the iron collar half hidden under his beard. Slave trader. "Got a warm cellar," he murmurs, helping you stand. "Just sign a labor contract." His grip tightens like manacles. Graveyard gambit. You wrench free, stumbling into St. Paul's churchyard. Tombstones tilt like rotten teeth. "Sanctuary," you gasp. But the gates are chained. Night watchmen light torches along the walls, eyes scanning for grave robbers. One gestures with his pike. "Piss off, leper." Behind you, the slaver's voice purrs. Nowhere left to run. Ahead, a freshly dug grave, mound of earth piled high. You leap into the open pita final, desperate hide. The resurrection men, damp soil walls, press close. Cold seeps into bones. Above, voices murmur. Saw him jump in. Alive or dead, doesn't matter. Teeth's worth same. Shovels bite into the earth pile. Dirt rains on your face. They're reburying you alive. The baker's light. You claw upward, breaking through the shovelfuls. I'm alive. The diggers reel back not grave robbers, but frightened sextons. Ghost! One whimpers, crossing himself. You scramble from the pit, coated in grave soil, down Bread Street. A warm glow beckons. The night baker's oven. Salvation smells of yeast and hope. You limp toward it as curfew bells begin their death knell across the city. Bong, bong, bong. The slaver's footsteps echo somewhere in the dark. The baker slides a hot loaf into your hands. Hide in the flour bin, he whispers, pointing to a deep trough. But mind the rats they bite. You plunge into powdery white darkness, just as the slaver's shadow fills the doorway. Flour coats your tongue. Somewhere close, tiny eyes glitter. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Dawn is hours away. The rats are hungry. The slaver is patient. And your arm throbs where the leeches feasted. Sleep is impossible, but exhaustion drags you under anyway. Dawn bleeds through the bakery's cracks, thin gray light dusting flour motes into spectral swirls. You emerge from the bin coated head to toe in white powder like a miller's ghost. The baker, kneading dough with arms like oak branches, nods toward the street. Sun's up. Watchmen'll gut nightwalkers on sight now. Your muscles scream as you stumble into the cold morning. London stirs. Shutters creak open. Night. Soil carts rumble toward ditches, and the first cries of fresh bread echo down lanes. False dawn judgment. A crowd gathers at Cheapside Crossknot for prayer, but punishment. Two figures stand locked in pillories, heads and hands clamped in wooden jaws. One is your fishmonger bedmate from the lodgings, now purple-faced and shivering. The other, the slaver. His fur-trimmed cloak hangs torn, iron collar gleaming in weak light. "Condemned," shouts a bailiff, "for trading Christian souls to Flanders." The crowd roars approval. Mainstream fact. Pillory sentences lasted hours or days. Victims endured anything from rotten eggs to broken bones. Your slaver snarls as a mud clod smacks his cheek. "You!" he spits, spotting you. "This is your doing." The bread test. The baker appears beside you, pressing a warm loaf into your hands. Eat. You look half corpse. You tear into the crust, sweet, nutty, miraculous. Quirky tidbit. Bakers hid charms called Pope's eyes, currant buns, in dough to ward off oven demons. Historians debate if this was faith or early quality control. River of the damned, you limp toward London Bridge, drawn by the gulls' cries. Below, the Thames churns with low-tide sludge. Fishermen haul nets glittering with eels, and one bloated body tangled in weed. "Floater from Southwark," mutters an old woman scattering crumbs to birds. "Third this week." She eyes your leech-bitten arm. "Plague-marked? Best jump now, and spare us the stink." The gatekeeper's price. At the bridge gate, a guard blocks your path, spear leveled at your chest. Exit tax. 2 pennies. You empty your pockets. A bent nail. A shred of filthy cloth. He snorts. "No coin? Work it off." He points to a pile of rancid rushes destined for moat reinforcement. "Haul those to Tower Wharf, or rot in Newgate." Final burden, you shoulder the slimy bundle, reek of mildew and rat droppings choking you. Halfway across the bridge, the tower looms a stone fist clenched against the sky. Heads spike its battlements. Traitors, rebels, a bishop who questioned the king's divorce. One fresh face stares with empty sockets. The monk from St. Paul's. The wharf's welcome. Tower guards, dump your rushes into a stagnant moat. Green scum swallows them whole. Done, grunts one, tossing a moldy crust at your feet. Breakfast. As you kneel to grab it, a shadow falls over you. Leaving so soon. The gang leader is splinted with grimy wood flanks you with his last thug. Both stink of tallow and rage. Oh, it's a boot. And a life. He kicks the crust into the moat. Behind them, the bridge gate clangs shut. London's last lesson. You back toward the stone parapet. River mist licks your heels. 30 feet below, the Thames sucks at rotten piers. Jump or fight. Neither promises breath. The leader draws his dagger, the same bollock blade, meant for your kidneys. Say hello to the eels, he hisses. Suddenly, thwack, an arrow buries itself in his thigh. He crumples, screaming. Tower archers wave from the battlements. Clear the wharf, scum. The thug flees. You're alone with the moaning leader. His dagger glistens on stones. His eyes lock on yours bleeding, furious. A choice. Mercy or vengeance. You kick the blade into the Thames. It vanishes with a soft plink. Dawn's true face. Sun breaks over the horizon, gilding the tower's cruelty in false gold. Across the river, Southwark's brothels and bear pits yawn awake. You've survived the night, but London's heartbeat thrums with indifference. A carter's wagon rumbles onto the bridge, splashing through sewage puddles. Move, ghost, he shouts. You step aside. At the Southwark gate, a different guard eyes your flour-caked clothes. Penny to enter. You shake your empty pockets. He shrugs. Welcome to the stews, then. You pass beneath the Arkinto streets, narrower, darker, fouler than London's. The air sweats cheap, ale, and despair. A child tugs your sleeve. Spare a crumb, mister. You break the baker's loaf in half. Her smile is the first clean thing you've seen in 12 hours. The child's smile vanishes into Southwark's maze as you lean against a lime-washed tavern wall, your flour-caked clothes drawing stares from passing steeholders. The licensed brothel keepers of this lawless district. Exhaustion drags at your bones like Thames mud. But sleep here would be suicide. Ahead, a steamy window pulses with lute music and laughter. The cardinal's hat, its sign creaks, showing a bishop winking. Warmth beckons, false warmth. Inside smells of sour wine and unwashed skin. A red-haired woman in goosefoot badge, the bishop's license symbol, already gliding toward you. Tuppence buys warmth, stranger, she murmurs, fingers brushing your coin purse. The bishop's geese. Her touch lingers, assessing fabric quality. Mainstream fact. Southwark's Winchester geese paid weekly fines to the Bishop of Winchester for sin licenses, making him London's richest pimp. You decline, but her grip tightens. 6 pence, then, for the feather bed? Behind her, a drunk gropes at a girl no older than 14. Quirky tidbit. Brothels displayed white wands outside, not for romance, but to measure customer height for standardized pricing. The honeyed trap, just ale, you insist. Her smile sours. Ale's extra. She snaps fingers. A tankard, of murky liquid appears. Special brew opens possibilities. You sip. Cloying sweetness masks bitter undertones. Henbane, poppy, your vision blurs instantly. The room tilts. Faces melt like tallow. Historians still argue whether brothels drugged clients to rob them or enhance satisfaction. Upstairs, perils. Hands shove you toward a stairwell. Room 3 needs warming. At the landing, a bloodstain blooms on the floorboards like a rotten rose. Mind the last gentleman, a bod laughs. Slipped on his own dagger. Inside the garret, a straw pallet swarming with lice. One thin blanket. The door locks behind you. Midnight inspection. Keys rattle at midnight. 2 men enter. One in watchman's leathers, the other bare-chested with knife scars. Bishop's tax. The false watchman growls. They empty your pockets, finding only a crust. The scarred man eyes your boots. These'll do. You resist. His fist cracks your jaw. Stars explode as they yank off your left boot. Next time, bring silver. They sneer, locking you in darkness. Dawn's dangerous gift. First light reveals your salvation. A rotting floorboard near the bed. Pry it up. A 6-inch gap overlooks the stables below. You squeeze through, landing in hay reeking of mold. A stable boy gapes. Get, you hiss, pressing your last breadcrumb into his palm. He points to a dung-caked alley exit. Southworks' final test. Outside, the brothel's bouncer spots you. Barefoot, 1 boot missing. There's the cheat! He charges. You stumble into a bear-baiting pit under construction. Sharpened stakes line the pit. He follows, laughing, until his foot catches on a tripwire for tomorrow's bears. He falls forward. A stake pierces his thigh. His scream scatters crows. You limp past bear cages toward London Bridge's distant arch. The city's silhouette beckons, a jagged crown of smoke and suffering. But first, the river and its floating dead. London Bridge's shadow stretches toward you like a stone gauntlet as you hobble barefoot across the mudflats. The receding tide leaves behind a mosaic of horrors, bloated rat carcasses, shattered ale jugs, and the skeletal hand of a mudlark who ventured too deep. Your single boot sinks into anaerobic sludge that bubbles with cadaveric gas. Ahead, the water stairs beckon slimed with algae and sewage. That's when you see them. 2 figures in familiar striped tunics leaning on halberds. Watchman, Hope Sparks. The uniform deception. Curfew breaker, barks the taller one, blocking your path. His uniform hangs loose, stolen, or scavenged. Mainstream fact. 30% of night arrests were fake watchman scams. Their victims vanished into debtors' prisons or slavery galleys. His partner, pockmarked youth snaps, manacles around your wrists. Resisting arrest? He prods your bruised ribs with a baton. That'll cost extra. The processing farce. They march you toward a crumbling warehouse labeled Crown Storage. Inside smells of mold and betrayal. Empty your purse, demands Taller. You show empty pockets. His smile turns predatory. Then we'll take payment in blood. Quirky tidbit. Fake guards used tax ledgers with inked fingerprints, real documents sold to loan sharks who'd hunt you for phantom debts. The branding threat. Pockmark lights a brazier. Choose. Debtor's mark on cheek. He heats an iron rod glowing cherry red. Or forehead. Taller pins you against a salt-crusted barrel. Forehead lasts longer. Historians still debate whether these gangs had inside help from corrupt sheriffs or were brilliant solo actors. Sewer salvation. Your heel hits a loose floorboard. You stomp wood, splinters revealing black water below. Fleet's back door, you bluff. Both guards peer down. You shove Taller into the hole. Splash, scream, as sewage swallows him. Pockmark lunges, you duck. His branding iron sears the barrel, hiss, igniting salt-cured fish inside. Flames erupt between you. The Rat King's court, escaping through a cellar grate. You enter a brick tunnel. The air tastes of iron and decay. Ahead, flickering candlelight reveals a toothless crone surrounded by squirming rats. Coin for the Rat King? She croaks, offering a rodent skewered on a stick. Brings luck. Her court is a nest of rags and bones. Plague Doctor's mercy. A figure materializes, beaked mask, leather cloak. Infected? His voice echoes inside the plague helmet. You nod at your leech bites. He extends a vial. Drink. Prevents Black Death. Modern aside, it's like buying antivirals from a dark web dealer. The liquid smells of vinegar and grave soil. You pretend to Sypha's hand darts into your shirt, snatching the last breadcrumb from Southwark. Payment, he hisses before vanishing. Thames treacherous stairs. You emerge near Billingsgate Wharf. Dawn stains the sky peach gold, but low tide exposes stairs slimed with rotting kelp. 3 steps down. Slip. You fall backward. A sewage floater bobs beside you, eyeless face kissing the stones. Gotcha! A fisherman's net snares your ankle. You'll fetch a shilling as a scarecrow. He reels you toward his boat filled with eels and a child's decomposing doll. The real watch. Clank, clank, clank. Halberds pound cobbles. Genuine watchmen approach. Apprehend that thief, you shout, pointing at the fake guard pursuing you. They seize Pockmark, still smudged with soot from the fire. He's impersonating the king's men. The captain eyes your manacles. And you escaped lawful arrest? His men raise crossbows. Bridge of last chance. You sprint onto London Bridge as gates creak open for dawn traders. Behind, angry shouts. Ahead, a velvet-draped merchant litter. You dive beneath Ithiding between sweating bearers. Move, rogues. A lady's voice shrills. Peeking through curtains, you see Southwark receding. Safety? The litter stops at the bridge chapel. You roll out straight into a pile of fresh horse dung. The chapel's irony. Inside St. Thomas's chapel, a priest intones, "Blessed are the poor." You extend shackled wrists. Sanctuary? He sighs. For genuine penitence. His gaze flicks to your manure-caked leg. You reek of sin. Outside, Pockmark's voice echoes. He's in there. The priest bars the door. Confess quickly. The unholy choice. Kneeling at the altar, you whisper half-truths. Stolen bread. Escaped brothel. And the watchman you drowned? He probes. Mainstream fact. Churches recorded confessions for magistrates. Your silence condemns you. He slides a parchment forward. Sign this labor contract for Flanders, or I summon the guards. Quill poised. Freedom smells of ink and betrayal. Dawn's light spills through stained glass, painting Judas red. The priest's quill hovers like a viper poised to strike. Flanders' contract glaring whitely in the gloom. Outside, Pockmark's fists hammer the chapel door. Thud, thud, thud. A heartbeat away from betrayal. Your eyes dart to the stained glass Judas, then to the single guttering candle, illuminating the contract's cruel script. Sign, the priest whispers, or Newgate's rats feast tonight. The flames of flight. You seize the candle, hurling wax onto the contract. Parchment curls black at the edges. Heresy! He shrieks as fire licks toward his sleeve. In the smoke and chaos, you vault the altar rail, shoulder barging a side door into blinding daylight. Freedom tastes of soot and river damp. The wharf's treacherous descent, London Bridge's underbelly looms. A forest of mold-slicked piers. Water stairs descend into the reeking Thames. Green slimed stones, gleaming like dragon scales. Mainstream fact. These stairs claimed more lives than plague. Tides rose 23 feet daily, creating deadly whirlpools. Your bare foot touches the first step. Immediate slip. You crash backward, tailbone striking stone. Sewage embrace. The incoming tide swirls around your waist, lifting you like a rag doll. A bloated shape bumps your chest, a floater in velvet rags, face nibbled to bone by eels. Two more corpses roll against you in the current. A child's bloated hand. A woman's hair tangled in fishing net. Quirky tidbit. Londoners called floaters Thames Knights. Corpses believed to patrol the river for fresh souls. Mudlark's gambit. Grab this, dreamer. A skeletal boy extends a willow pole from a nearby pier. You clutch Ithe yanks hard, dragging you onto a mudflat. Payment, he demands, eyeing your remaining boot. Before you refuse, he snatches it. Fair trade for not drowning ye. Historians still argue whether mudlarks were saviors or scavengers exploiting despair. The fisherman's charity, a skiff scrapes ashore. Need passage? The grizzled fisherman gestures to his catch, eels thrashing beside a waterlogged corpse. Hop in, I'll toss the stiff. As he shoves the body overboard, you spot a bishop's ring glinting on its finger. Finders keepers, he winks. Tidal quicksand. You retreat across the mudflat, but the silt sucks at your ankles like wet cement. Each step sinks deeper, knee deep, thigh deep. Tide's turning, warns the mudlark. Behind you, the fisherman's oars dip closer. Ahead, a sewer outfall gushing waste. Your choice. Drown in sewage or be rescued by a likely murderer. The oath-breaker's end. Suddenly, screams from the bridge. Pockmark dangles from a pier. Fake watchman tunic, snagged on a rusty hook. Help! The tide swallows his cry. The real watch, captain peers down. Let the river judge him. Poetic justice served cold and wet. Southwark's siren call. You wrench free, scrambling toward the Southwark bank. Tavern lights shimmer through river fog. Sanctuary? A soot-faced girl tugs your sleeve. Ma'am sells magic eel pies. Makes you forget yesterday. Her basket steams with suspicious meat. Hunger wars with memory. The final stairs. You ascend different water stairsthes crusted with oyster shells. At the top, a familiar figure waits. The red-haired brothel keeper from Section 11. She smiles, holding up your stolen boot. Looking for this, sweeting? Behind her, two scarred men crack their knuckles. Dawn's light feels suddenly colder. The river sighs at your back. Southwark's alleys yawn ahead. That child's eel pie smells unnervingly like human flesh. Your stomach growls. The brothel keeper's grin widens. Come home, she croons. We'll get you comfortable. The brothel keeper's grin stretches like a cat's yawn as she dangles your stolen boot. Comfort costs extra now, sweeting, she purrs, nodding toward her thugs. Your bare heel grinds into oyster shell-sharp reminders of reality. That suspicious eel pie scent suddenly fades, replaced by sour malt drifting from a nearby alehouse. The Hog's Head. Its sign creaks, showing a swine vomiting into a tankard. Desperation overrules caution. You shove past the brothel crew into the tavern's smoky embrace. The poisoned chalice. Inside reeks of despair and wet dog. A one-eyed barkeep slams a cracked mug before you. Hubcap Alepenny, a pint. Mainstream fact. Hubcap was nicknamed Dragon's Milk for its lethal proof. Brewers added henbane to mask spoiled grain. You gulp, it cloying sweetness coats your tongue. Quirky tidbit. Taverns hung drunkards' cloaks, barrels with armholes, to shame overindulgers. Already the walls ripple like wet parchment. The demon dance. Shadows detach from rafters. Horned figures with too many joints skitter across beams. See 'em too, eh? Slurs a man missing 3 fingers. Henbane devils. He points to a rat gnawing a barrel tap. That one's Satan's scribe. Historians still debate whether hallucinations came from toxic brews or mass hysteria. Your tankard refills magically. The barkeep leers. On the house. For new friends. The betrayal waltz. A woman materializes rows and decayed teeth. Dance? Her hand feels like cold dough. As she spins you, fingers slip into your belt pouch. Too late. Payment for the music, she cackles, waving your last crumb. Modern aside, it's like getting pickpocketed by a VR hallucination. The floor tilts violently. You crash over a table where gamblers throw knuckle bones. 7 hells? My winning throw, screams a player, drawing a knife. The fire sermon, candles float midair. Smoke coils into serpent shapes. Someone screams, "Dragon fire!" as the hearth belches embers. Flames lick spilled ale. Whoosh! A blue inferno races toward the henbane barrel. Save the devil's brew, howls the barkeep. Patrons dive for exits as rafters groan. The ice mirage. You stumble into an alley where winter frost suddenly crusts the walls. Delusion or reality? Snowflakes kiss your burning forehead. A snowman grins with coal ice snow, a corpse propped on frozen dung. Chilly? In it? It whispers through blue lips. You blink, it's just a wool-draped midden heap. Quirky neuroscience. Henbane caused thermal hallucinations. Victims froze to death believing they burned. The Rat King's court. A sewer grate rattles. The toothless crone from Section 12 emerges, rat scepter in hand. Told ye we'd meet again. Her rodents form a living carpet at your feet. Kneel to the king. Scholarly debate. Were Rat King's natural entanglements, or deliberate folk hoaxes? One rat nibbles your frostbitten toe. His Majesty accepts toe joints as tribute. The false sanctuary. Dawn's gray light reveals a chapel spire. You crawl toward it, fingers raw on ice cobbles. Inside, no priest, just a straw-stuffed Virgin Mary statue. Bless me, mother, you rasp. Her painted eyes seem to follow you. Then, creak, her head rotates backward. A hidden door. Hope flares, until you see the tunnel's end, the brothel keeper's cellar. Her thugs wave from a vat of brewing henbane. The river's embrace. Retreating, you splash into the Thames. Icy water shocks hallucinations away. Reality snaps back. No snow, no Rat King, just sewage and floating ice chunks. A fisherman's skiff approaches. Need saving? His net bulges with eels and a child's shoe. You paddle toward London Bridge's starlings, the stone piers, where traders' heads greet dawn. The sun's lie, golden light, gilds the bridge. Safety? As you haul yourself onto a slimy ledge, the brothel keeper appears above. Tut-tut. She drops your boot into the river. Should have chosen my feather bed. Her thug heaves a rotting sheep carcass onto your perch. The current sucks I tanned you toward a whirlpool. The last henbane vision flickers. Warm bread, soft sheets, silence. Then cold water fills your nose. The Thames whirlpool swallows you whole. A cold, dark fist squeezing the last henbane dreams from your lungs. You kick downward, desperate, until your feet touch slimy stones. River bottom. Pushing upward, you burst through the surface, gasping, sewage stinging your eyes. The current spits you onto a mudbank beneath London Bridge's northern starlings. The massive stone piers trapping debris like skeletal fingers. Above, the heads of executed traitors drip onto passing barges. One fresh skull grins, tongue replaced by a crow's nest. Architectural death trap. You crawl into a crevice between piers. Momentary refuge. That's when you see it. The city's true horror isn't the river or rats, but the buildings themselves. Timber houses lean drunkenly over the water, their upper stories nearly kissing across alleys. Mainstream fact. Medieval London's jettying, overhanging floors, increased interior space, but turned streets into flammable tunnels. A droplet hits your forehead, warm, waxy. Tallow from a candlelit window 3 stories up. Follow its trail. Countless drips saturating straw-strewn cobbles below. One spark would create an inferno. The tallow trap, as if summoned. A drunk stumbles from a tavern, waving a torch. Death to Flemish weavers. He slurs, swaying near the straw. You shout, warning. Too late. He trips, torch flying. It arcs downward, but snuffs in a puddle. Historians still debate whether such near misses happened hourly, or citizens grew numb to danger. Quirky tidbit. Street urchins called straw-lined alleys devil's tinderboxes, charging a farthing to stamp out stray embers. The communal oven's kiss. Seeking warmth, you limp toward a bakery's glow. Inside, night bakers sweat before a hell-mouth oven. Keep moving, ghost. One snaps, shoveling loaves. But the real peril is invisible. Carbon monoxide seeping through floorboards to lodgers above. Remember your straw-bedded neighbor from Section 5? He isn't snoring. He's suffocating. A child's cough rattles the ceiling like dried peas in a cup. Candlelit catastrophes? Above the bakery, a prostitute leans from a window, candle in hand. Fancy a visit, powder man. Your flour-coated skin marks you as a miller. Her sleeve brushes the flame. A fabric ignites. She screams, batting at fire, knocking the candle downward. It tumbles end over end toward the straw below. You dive, catching it barehanded. Wax scalds your palm. She spits. Should have let it burn. Now I owe you. The rent collector's scheme. Her door creaks open to reveal a rat-gnawed room. Before entering, she douses your candle in vinegar. Landlord charges extra for flame tax. Mainstream fact. Rent collectors punish tenants for fire risks by demanding bribes or evicting them into homelessness. She points to blackened ceiling beams. Last tenant cooked a herring. Whole top floor went up. Landlord got rich. Rebuilding. The landlord's innovation. As you bind your burned hand with rags, thunderous hammering shakes the walls. What's that? Landlord's fireproofing. She scoffs. Peeking outside, you see workers nailing iron plates over wood, trapping heat like an oven. Quirky tidbit. Greedy landlords used recycled ship nails, which sparked when struck by tools. Even now, a worker's chisel strikes metal. Tiny orange sparks rain onto roof thatch. The watch's negligence. Fire patrol, shouts a voice. Hope flares until you see the patrol. Two boys dragging a leaky water barrel. They pause to extort a baker for protection coins. Scholarly debate rages. Did fire watches fail from corruption or impossible odds? One boy kicks smoldering rubbish into the Thames instead of dousing it. The weaver's sacrifice. A crash echoes from the adjacent alley. A Flemish weaver jumps from his burning window, loom strapped to his back. They blamed him, your hostess whispers. Below, the drunk's friends cheer the flames. Foreign fire, starter. The weaver's body smolders on the stones. Woolen cloak melting into his skin. The chain reaction. Wind gusts, carrying embers to the next roof. Thatched eaves bloom into orange flowers. Flames race along rope walks, hemp drying lines, connecting houses. A scream pierces the night. Not human, but pigs trapped in a ground floor pen. The fire leaps across an alley via a merchant's overhanging silk display. Your final choice. The brothel keeper from Section 14 appears below your window, flanked by thugs. Jump to us, sweeting, safety! But her eyes gleam with slave trader hunger. Behind you, flames gnaw the stairwell. Below, the drunk's mob begins looting the bakery. The Thames whispers cold promises. 3 paths. 1. Jump to slavers. 2. Descend into mob chaos. 3. Brave the burning stairs. Smoke stings your eyes. The weaver's corpse smolders like a warning beacon. That single safe memory surfaces again, the baker breaking bread at dawn. You choose. Smoke claws down your throat as you plunge into the burning stairwell, flames licking at your flour cake sleeves like hungry serpents. Each step groans underfoot, embers searing through thin soles. Below, the mob's roar swells as they loot the bakery. Above, the brothel keeper's shrieks fade behind collapsing beams. You burst onto the street, just as the building exhales a final gasp of sparks and ash. Freedom tastes of cinders and charred bread. The corpse lantern guide, stumbling through smoke-choked lanes. You follow ghostly lights bobbing near ground level. Not will-o-wisps, corpse lanterns. Grave diggers hang candle jars on stakes to mark fresh plots. This way, lost lamb hisses a shadow holding a spade. His breath smells of gin and grave soil. Mainstream fact. Resurrectionists, body snatchers, patrolled churchyards nightly, supplying surgeons with teaching materials. Your bare feet squelch on rain, slicked graves. St. Paul's unholy marketplace. The cathedral's shadow swallows you whole. Moonlight reveals figures huddled around an open pit. A surgeon, in blood-crusted apron, examines a corpse's joints. A hag bundles hair into sacks. 4 wigs, she mutters. 2 men argue over a skeleton's price per pound. Fresh stock? Calls a resurrectionist with iron hooks on his belt. He eyes your lean frame. Or looking for work. Pays good for small graves. Quirky tidbit. Child corpses fetched premium price as their bones were softer for novice surgeons. The teeth trade. The surgeon beckons you closer. Open wide. Before you react, his forceps probe your mouth. Molars intact. 10 shillings if I extract 'em now. He gestures to a jar of yellow teeth. See? George Washington, where's Virginian fakes real ones come from paupers like you. Historians still debate whether dentists knew they used plague victims' teeth. The smothering offer. The resurrectionist pulls you aside. Ignore sawbones. Better deal. Help us bag the bishop in plot 22. We'll split the surgeon's fee. He reveals his technique. A wet cloth pressed over sleeping drunks' faces. Quiet as lambs. They call it holy smothering. Scholarly controversy. Did resurrectionists kill to meet demand, or just exploit fresh burials. Graveyard shift perils, suddenly shouts from the west gate. Watchmen! The resurrectionists scatter like roaches. You dive behind a tombstone, carved with weeping angels, straight into an open grave. Your elbow cracks against wood-gnawed earth, but a coffin pried half open. Inside, the bishop they mentioned, jewels glinting on stiff fingers. Thief! Hisses a voice above. The surgeon stands silhouetted against the moon, scalpel gleaming. That's my payment. The coffin escape? You slam the coffin lid as his blade stabs through the wood. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Rotting finery fills your nostrils. Desperate, you kick the coffin's end panel. It gives way, spilling you into an adjoining tunnel. Resurrectionists' secret network. Earthen walls press close, roots brushing your face like skeletal fingers. The anatomist's lair, the tunnel empties into a cellar, where candlelight glints on glass jars floating eyes, deformed fetuses, a child's preserved hand. Visitor? Murmurs a figure dissecting a brain at a marble slab. His wig drips tallow onto the cortex. Don't mind the archbishop, he won't testify against us. He points to a head floating in brine. Mainstream fact. Eminent surgeons, like John Hunter, paid resurrectionists £5 per corpse while publicly condemning them. The ultimate choice. Footsteps echo in the tunnel, the surgeon and resurrectionist closing in. The anatomist offers a bone saw. Prove your worth. Harvest his grace's femur. He nods to the bishop's corpse, now laid on his slab. Or join him. Outside, dawn's first birdsong filters through a grate. Freedom lies 10 steps away. But the anatomist's assistant blocks it, grinning with filed teeth. The sacrificial distraction. You grab a jar of leeches, hurling it at the anatomist. My specimens, he wails as parasites swarm his wig. In the chaos, you vault the slab, knocking the bishop's body onto the resurrectionist. Desecrator, screams the surgeon, plunging his blade into his partner's chest. False sanctuary above, you scramble through the grate, into a rose garden. Deceptive peace, songbirds, dew-kissed petals. Then you see the manor's crest, a serpent, coiled around a scalpel. The surgeon's townhouse, a maid screams. Heavy boots thunder from the kitchen. The garden's secret, a child's voice whispers from a hedgerow. This way. A boy in nightshirt beckons toward a garden wall. Papa kills intruders. He points to a hidden door behind a sundial. As you slip through, he calls. Tell the watch about the bodies. Especially my sister. His eyes hold centuries of pain. Dawn bleeds gold over London. You lean against the wall, shaking. The surgeon's roar echoes behind stone. Find him. Somewhere, a church bell tolls not for prayer, but another execution. Your breath fogs in the cold air. That faint rosemary scent? Just a butcher's attempt to mask bloodstains. Dawn's pale light washes over you as the surgeon's garden door clicks shut, sealing away the horrors of the anatomy cellar. Cold cobbles bite your bare feet, a welcome pain after the cloying scent of preserved death. That faint yeasty aroma, not memory this time. Real bread smoke curls from a chimney 2 alleys away. Your stomach clenches. Hunger overrides instinct as you follow the scent toward a half-timbered building marked with crossed loaves. The communal oven's siren song. Inside, heat radiates like a physical embrace. Night bakers move like sleepwalkers in the orange glow, shoveling loaves into a vaulted brick oven, large enough to roast an ox. Mainstream fact. These neighborhood ovens baked bread for entire parishes, operating non-stop from midnight to dawn. Warm yourself, Miller Dust, mumbles an apprentice, eyeing your flour-coated clothes. You crouch near the fire mouth, steam rising from damp rags as heat seeps into frozen bones. Bliss. The silent killer's embrace, but warmth soon turns treacherous. A drowsy heaviness weights your limbs, sweet and insistent. Your thoughts blur like ink in rain. That's carbon monoxide, seeping from poorly sealed flues. Quirky tidbit. Bakers called this dough drowse, blaming mischievous oven imps instead of invisible gas. Above, a child's cry cuts off mid-wail. Just little Tom falling back asleep, yawns the baker. But you remember Section 5's suffocating loft. History repeats in poison sighs. The Pope's eye ritual. The head baker spits into the coals. For luck. He tosses a currant bun into the inferno. A Pope's eye charmed to ward off fire demons. As it blackens, he mutters names. Saint Honorius, Saint Elizabeth, Saint Agatha. Scholars still debate whether these incantations reflected true piety or sleep-deprived delirium. You try standing. Knees buckle. The world tilts sideways. Ghosts in the dough, shapes materialize in the steam. A woman kneading spectral loaves that weep blood. Children with hollow eyes begging crusts. The baker's dead father pointing at cracked ceiling beams. Yesiemtu, whispers the apprentice, knuckles white on his peel. Dough ghosts. They hungry tonight. Historians argue whether these visions came from monoxide or ergot fungus in rye flour. Reality blurs when a phantom hand brushes your neck. The baker's bargain. The head baker offers a steaming loaf. Eat. Strengthens the spirit. You tear into it. Heaven's taste. Then comes the hook. Work off the debt. Tend the oven till matins bell. He gestures to a collapsed form near the woodpile. Last helper slept permanent like. Your choices. Freeze outside or risk death by warmth. The coffin niche. You notice stone niches along the oven wall. Coffin-sized alcoves where workers nap between batches. Snug as tombs, grins the apprentice, crawling into one. You squeeze beside him. Heat kisses your face while cold stone numbs your back. Strange comfort. Until, thud. Above, something heavy falls. Plaster dust snows down. Just the cat, mumbles the baker. But muffled cries filter through the ceiling. That child isn't sleeping. The landlord's fire trap. Climbing rickety stairs reveals the real nightmare. 3 families crammed in a room, thick with oven fumes. A toddler lies motionless near a vent. Mother slaps his cheeks. Wake up, Rob! Windows are nailed shut. Landlord's solution to heat loss. Mainstream fact. Over 200 Londoners died yearly in oven-adjacent rooms. You wrench a window open with burned hands. Icy air floods in. The price of air. Landlord's thugs burst in. Who killed the heat? They see your flour-streaked face. Miller's boy sabotaging the oven. Clubs rise. You vault back downstairs as the family screams. The bakers block the exit. Oven comes first. Final warmth. Cornered near the fire mouth. You make your choice. Grab a burning log. Swing it in a wild arc. Embers rain onto flour sacks. Humph. Instant fireball. My bread! Wails the head baker as flames race up flour-dusted walls. You dive through the coal chute into pre-dawn filth. Behind, the oven's last warmth kisses your heels like a lover's farewell. Ahead, freezing streets and the surgeon's hunting dogs baying in the distance. That half-eaten loaf still warms your hand. You bite deep. Survival tastes of ash and stolen comfort. The baker's stolen loaf turns to ash in your mouth as hounds close in their baying echoing through the frozen streets like funeral bells. You dart down pissing lane, but dawn brings no mercy. A meat hook snags your collar from behind. Got you, oven wrecker, growls a watchman, his breath reeking of stale ale and corruption. Before you speak, manacles snap around your wrists. Resisting arrest, he shouts to no one. The charge? Suspicion of arson, theft, and malicious milling. Newgate's welcome. The prison looms a fortress of despair, oozing pestilence from its stones. Inside, darkness swallows sound. A jailer with weeping sores demands, "Twopeny ward or common hole?" Mainstream fact. Newgate operated on fees for safety. Pay 2 pence daily for the privilege of not being murdered. You produce 2 flattened pennies from your belt seam. He sneers. That buys you 12 hours. Maybe. The Twopeny ward? Iron doors groan open to reveal hell's antechamber. Light. 1 tallow dip for 50 souls. Air. A slit window choked with decades of grime. Furniture. Straw crawling with lice, and a shit trench along the wall. A man missing an eye extends a hand. Cell tax. Another penny. When you hesitate, his knife appears. Or I take an eye. Surgeon pays well for those. The debt spiral. First lesson. Hisses a woman chained to the wall. "Oh, spider here? You're dead by matins." She nods at the one-eyed extortionist. Quirky tidbit. Prison gangs used blood ledgers, notch sticks, tracking debts payable in flesh or labor. Your debt. 3 pennies for breathing rights. Pay by dawn or forfeit a finger. The rat economy. A boy tugs your sleeve. Buy a ratter? 2 pence. He opens his palm-alive rat, gnawing a bone shard. Train 'em to bite rivals? Historians still debate whether prisoners truly weaponized rodents or just hallucinated from hunger. You decline. He shrugs. Your funeral. Moments later, Spider screams as rats swarm his legs. The surgeon's visit. Keys jangle. A barber surgeon enters with 2 guards. Fresh stock? He scans prisoners like cuts of meat. You lend me your arm. He straps you to a table, leeches swelling in a jar. Experimenting with Spanish fever cure, he explains, making an incision. If you live, debt's cleared. Modern aside, it's like predatory clinical trials, with no consent forms. The night's true terror. Deeper darkness falls. Prisoners whisper of Black Dog Night when guards abandon the ward till dawn. They unlock the common hole doors, warns the chained woman. Let madmen hunt us for sport. Scholars argue whether this was official policy or guards' secret tradition. A distant door creaks open. Howls echo down corridors. The common hole reavers. Shadows flood the ward barefoot, raving, armed with shivs of broken bone. Fresh meat, screeches a man with filed teeth. Prisoners scatter. Spider shoves you forward as sacrifice. Take the new fish. The reavers circle, chanting. Blood pays the walls. The choice. Their letter a giant branded F, for felon tosses a rusted spoon at your feet. Join the hunt or be the prey. His eyes gleam with madness. Across the ward, the chained woman mouths, "Kill Spider." The betrayal gambit? You point at Spider. He's got silver teeth. The giant backhand spider metal molars clatter on stone. Treasure. Reavers swarm him. In the chaos, you grab the chained woman's manacles. A stolen key, lifted from the surgeon, clicks in the lock. She rubs freed wrists. Now what? The sewer escape? She leads you to a grate in the shit trench. Newgate's bowels. You wade through excrement up to your waist. The reaver's howls fade behind you. Name's Mag, she grunts, prying a brick from the wall. Moonlight filters through the Fleet Ditch's familiar stench, greets you like an old enemy. Dawn's hollow promise. You emerge near the Thames as sunrise stains the sky. Mag vanishes into the mist without a word. The prison bell tolls behind you not for escape, but executions. 3 gallows stand ready on Tower Hill. 1 noose sways empty, waiting. A hand clamps your shoulder. Found the arsonist. The baker from Section 17 grins, flanked by watchmen. His flour-dusted finger jabs your chest. Burnt my livelihood. The noose sways gently in the morning breeze. Behind it, a familiar face grins from the crowd, the brothel keeper, holding up a pair of shears. Scalp sells well too. Sweeting. Your knees buckle. The loaf's last crumbs spill onto the stones. Somewhere, a child laughs. The gallows stairs await. The gallows stairs sway beneath your feet like a drunkard's dream. Dawn's golden lie washes over Tower Hill, gilding the waiting noose in false promise. Below, the crowd buzzes a human hive hungry for spectacle. The baker jabs your spine triumphantly. Justice for my oven. But as the hangman fits the rough hemp around your neck, salvation emerges from chaos. The hawker's distraction. Plague-stricken, miracle ungent. A shrill voice pierces the din. A hawker in patched motley shoves through the crowd, waving clay pots of greasy paste. Rub it on your neck. Stops the Black Death and hangings. The executioner pauses, superstitious hesitation. Mainstream fact. Mountebanks swarmed executions, selling bogus cures to the desperate. You recognize his face, the mudlark who stole your boot. His wink is fleeting. The rat-paced ruse. He hurls a pot at the hangman. It shatters, splattering foul-smelling goo. God's teeth. The hangman recoils, wiping gray slime from his eyes. In the chaos, pickpockets swarm the crowd. "Thief! My purse!" screams a merchant. "She stole my ring," wails a noblewoman. Quirky tidbit. Cut purses, trained rats to nibble purse strings, while they distracted victims with fake fits. The great unshackling. Your mudlark ally darts up the gallows steps. "Don't swallow the paste," he hisses, smearing the greasy substance on your manacles. Rat fat softens iron. Sure enough, the lock crumbles like stale cheese. Historians still debate whether this was alchemy or crude acid, disguised as folk magic. False sanctuary. You leap from the platform into the seething crowd. "Plague carrier," shouts the hawker, pointing at your leech-bitten arm. The mob recoils like Moses parting the Red Sea. You sprint toward the river only to find the brothel keeper waiting at the wharf. "Tut-tut," she purrs, flanked by Thames fishermen. "We've got nets for jumpers." The resurrectionists bargain. A hand yanks you into a fetid alley. The toothless crone from St. Paul's graveyard grins, rat scepter in hand. "Need a dead man?" She gestures to a fresh corpse in a barrel. "Put on his clothes. I'll say I scooped you from the Thames. The price? Your teeth. Dentists pay extra for live extractions. The corpse exchange. You strip the body a waterman reeking of rotten fish. His woolen tunic scratches like insect bites. "Hurry!" hisses the crone as footsteps approach. But as you don the dead man's cap, his eyelids flutter. "Not dead," he groans. Scholarly controversy. Did resurrectionists occasionally revive coma victims for double profits? The pursuer's trap. The brothel keeper appears, blocking the alley exit. "Found my sweeting." Her fishermen spread nets, Suddenly, splash. The corpse vomits river water over her silk shoes. Plague vomit, screams the crone. The mob retreats in terror. Southwark's last gamble. You flee across London Bridge. The dead man's clothes, dripping. At Southwark's bear pit, a familiar face waves. The child who saved you from the surgeon's garden. Bear baiting starts at noon, he calls. Hide in the bait hold. He lifts a trap door, revealing a straw-lined pit. The stench of old blood chokes you. Bears sleep here between maulings, he whispers. Just don't wake Brutus, the slumbering beast. You crouch in darkness. Above, bookmakers shout odds. Through cracks, you see Brutus, a one-eared brown bear chained to a post. His flanks ripple with scars. As the first dogs attack, his roar shakes the pit. Blood drips between floorboards, warm as tears. Quirky neuroscience. Bears' post-battle sleep was so deep. Tudor surgeons studied them for anesthesia clues. The unlikely savior. At dusk, the trapdoor opens. Coast clear, whispers the boy. But outside, the brothel keeper's thugs wait. Got a new bait dog for Brutus. One leers, grabbing you. Suddenly, snap, a chain breaks. Brutus lurches free, swiping the thug's face into red ruin. In the chaos, you melt into the crowd. Dawn's final deception. Exhaustion drags you to a church porch. Safe? As you drift into sleep, a holy pardoner shakes your shoulder. Donation for Saint Fiacre? He offers a rotting hare's foot. Guarantees sanctuary. But his eyes linger on your waterman's boots too fine for a beggar. Behind him, the baker sharpens a bread knife. Recognize those boots, oven wrecker? The pardoner's smile widens. Sin must be paid in silver or skin. The Thames sighs in the distance. Somewhere, a bell tolls for vespers. Your eyes close. The pardoner's grip tightens like a manacle as the baker advances, bread knife gleaming. That waterman's tunic won't save you now, oven wrecker, he spits. But dawn's first bell clangs in the distance. The signal for pillory punishments at Cheapside. Salvation by schedule. Matins, cries the partner, releasing you. The heretic sentencing! Both men bolt toward the spectacle, lured by fresh suffering. Pillory theater. You merge with the crowd flooding Cheapside. 3 figures stand locked in wooden restraints. 1. A butcher, convicted of selling rat meat as mutton. 2. A nun, caught with incendiary prophecies. 3. The brothel keeper, her scarlet hair matted with rotten eggs. Mainstream fact. Pillory sentences lasted hours. Crowds threw everything from flowers to dead cats. Aim for the mouth, shouts a fishwife, launching a putrid cod head. Splat. The brothel keeper gags. Deserves worse, yells the baker, hurling a brick-hard loaf. Animal justice. Beside the human prisoners, a skeletal mule wears a miniature pillory. Convicted of kicking a merchant, explains a boy. Quirky tidbit. Animals faced formal trials. In 1386, a sow was pilloried for infanticide after eating a baby. The mule's mournful bray cuts through the jeers. The mob's mercy. A noblewoman tosses rose petals at the nun. Saint Genevieve protects visionaries. Instantly, rotten vegetables pelt her. No saints for traitors. Historians still debate whether crowds showed selective mercy or just enjoyed violence. Your final disguise. Spotting a discarded friar's robe near a donation box, you duck behind a market stall. Rough wool scratches your flea bites as you pull it on. Bless you, brother, murmurs a peasant, dropping a withered turnip into your bowl. Irony tastes like stolen holiness. The last pursuer, a hand grabs your robe's hem. The mudlark from the gallows grins up at you. Fancy robe for a dead man. Before he can shout, you press a moldy crust, your last food, into his palm. For silence. He examines it solemnly. Deal. But next life, wear better boots. The survivor's view. From the church steps, you watch the brothel keeper collapse in her pillory. The crowd cheers. She's fainted. More dung. The nun prays silently as offal slides down her wimple. The butcher sobs. You finger your fake rosary. This is survival. Not triumph, but witnessing dawn's true gift. No one pursues you now. The friar's robe is armor enough. You wander to the Thames, where sunlight transforms sewage into liquid gold. A fisherman mends nets. Humming, he nods at your robe. Heard matins, brother? You touch the river's edge. Cold. Real. Alive. The bell's invitation. Across the water. Southwark's brothels sleep. The bell of St. Mary Overy tolls. Not for executions, but ordinary time. A barge drifts by, piled with Sussex apples. Their sweet scent overpowers the fleet's reek. For the first time in 24 hours, you breathe deeply. The last choice. The friar's robe itches. The river beckons. Somewhere, a real friar searches for his stolen vestments. You could walk to sanctuary at Westminster, board the apple barge for countryside peace, return the robe with confession. You choose. And so you let the river's rhythm slow your pulse now, the shouts of Cheapside fading like distant thunder. That friar's robe? Just woolen threads dissolving into mist. The pillories, the sewage, the clutching hands, all softening into stories told by firelight. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. The cold Thames spray? Merely the kiss of a breeze through your window. The fear that gripped your chest? Unclench your fists. It's gone. You survived the night. Not as a hero, not as a saint, but as a witness to humanity's stubborn glow in the darkest alleys. The mudlark's bargain, the child's courage, the baker's broken bread. Now let London's ghosts retreat. Let the stones sigh back into history. There are no thieves here, no leches, no dawn gallows waiting. Only your breath. Steady and sure. Only the quiet hum of safety. That faint scent? Not apples or offal, but clean linen and stillness. Breathe deeper now. In, slow, out, slower. Feel the gentle cradle of your mattress beneath you. The pillow cool against your cheek. The darkness behind your eyelids. Soft, velvety, kind. The river you hear is but a memory of tranquility, flowing through meadows of sleep, carrying away the last whispers of fear. You are anchored in peace, wrapped in calm. Home. Let the current carry you now, deeper, gentler, into the silent harbor of rest, where no bells toll, no gates close, only dreams of quiet dawns await. Sleep.